With The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time getting a remake for the Switch 2, I decided to once again look into this classic title, because this game is filled with dark secrets. And while I was streaming, Soren van Vanaheim wondered if Kakariko Village, a place that was once a stronghold of the Sheikah, is filled with spies. There are many shady things going on here. So, how aware are the people living here? Do some work for the Sheikah? And how much could they really know? Well, let's find out. Now, the structure of this video is going to be very simple. We're just gonna look at everybody who lives in Kakariko Village to see whether they could have a connection with the Sheikah or know a lot more than they let on. And the first one we are going to look at is Dampe, because Soren actually had an interesting take. As we all know, Dampe is the graveyard keeper of Kakariko Village, managing all the day-to-day tasks there. However, this also means that he is positioned directly between the Shadow Temple and the bottom of the well, two places where the Sheikah did unthinkable things and buried their dark history. And so you would imagine that Dampe has seen a lot of things throughout the years. He must be aware of the Shadow Temple being located in the very back of the graveyard. And when Link finally becomes an adult after grabbing the Master Sword, we can see that Dampe has even done certain things to help the young hero. For example, if you go to his grave, you can see that Dampe was smart enough to leave the hookshot behind for Link, which is a crucial item for completing the game. He even guides you to it. Aside from that, his grave leads to the windmill, which is incredibly important for opening the bottom of the well. This already shows us that Dampe probably knows more than we thought. And right before he died, he actually did a number of things that would help the hero in the future to defeat Ganondorf, the evil king that rules over the land. This is what motivated Soren to mention his claim of Sheikah spies in the stream. There are so many things surrounding Dampe that make you believe that he has some connection with the Sheikah, or at least knows of their plans or dark history. He is completely surrounded by it after all. But we also have to remember he is a scaredy cat, so that could have also prevented him from finding out too much. However, of course, he isn't the only one who lives in Kakariko Village. Now, the next character we're going to look at is the Master Craftsman's son. A strange little fella who constantly sits against this tree and is quite nihilistic. According to many, he's even a bit of a bum. But if we read through all his dialogue and his actions in-game, I would say that it's quite unlikely that he's some sort of Sheikah spy. He seems to be disillusioned with life and just keeps to himself. I cannot imagine that he would be interested in helping the Sheikah whatsoever. Nothing seems to interest him or excite him. However, due to his interesting mental state, he could have been scarred for life by the events that happened in the village, or certain things that he saw. But at the end of the day, we have no idea what he could have seen. He doesn't allude to anything, at least. So I would say that this young man has nothing to do with the Sheikah, and just lives in Kakariko Village without being aware of the horrors right beneath his feet. So let's move on to the next resident. When we first enter the windmill, we see this man playing a phonograph, being quite obsessed with music, and of course he plays a massive role in the whole Song of Storms time loop event, which is a completely different mystery that has nothing to do with the Sheikah as far as I know. Now, once again, this man just seems to be busy with his own interests and obsessions, while not worrying about the Sheikah or any of the things they are doing in the slightest. Really, the phonograph man seems to be in his own world, busy with his own obsessions. The time loop of the Song of Storms, and the windmill, which he actually plays a huge role in himself, without being aware of it. So I would say that he has no connection to the Sheikah, or knows of their secrets. But the dark magic of the Sheikah could have still affected him. We all know that they have done unspeakable things in Kakariko Village, so maybe this has also influenced the time loop that made him so angry. It could very well be that magical influences, left behind from the Sheikah's olden days, influence all kinds of things around them, including the mysterious time loop seen in the windmill. But we have no idea whether this is true, and for the most part, the phonograph man seems to know very little. Now, aside from finding Dampe in the graveyard of Kakariko village, you will also find a young boy. He is absolutely obsessed with Dampe and would love to be him. But of course, as a child, he knows very little. He's living in his own world and is just playing pretend. However, he might have seen more than most would imagine. He constantly hangs out in Kakariko graveyard, very close to some of the darkest secrets that the Sheikah hold, while also interacting with Dampe, who might know a lot more than he lets on, or might even be an agent of the Sheikah themselves. It could very well be that the young boy has seen more than he actually bargained for, and this could have also played a role in his disappearance, because if Link draws the Master Sword out of the pedestal and ends up 7 years into the future, we can see that the graveyard boy is gone. He is nowhere to be found, and this also goes for his mother and previous residents. So it could very well be that this boy had seen too much, or uncovered certain secrets that led to his unfortunate demise. We all know that the graveyard is filled with Poes and other dark creatures that could have easily dispatched of this boy. So while he might not have Sheikah connections or forbidden knowledge, he might have found something at some point. And of course, because he was not seen in the future, it didn't end well. And it might even be that the Sheikah themselves got rid of him and his mother in order to clean up some loose ends. But I must say, this is pure speculation, because in-game, there's no evidence for any of this. But from a story perspective, it could make sense. However, aside from looking at the youngest residents of this village, we also have to look at some of the oldest, because they might have seen a lot more. Now in town you will also find Granny, who runs a potion shop in the village. As far as I could find, she has lived in Kakariko village for ages, and has connections with the lake scientist, because she used to be his apprentice. Now of course, in-game she or any of the other characters do not mention her and the Sheikah in the same sentence. There is again no direct connection, but because of the fact that she is a genius scientist and knows how to make many potions and concoctions, I expect that she had some dealings with the Sheikah in the past. She could provide a lot of different services and goods for them, which was especially useful back in the day when the Shadow Temple was still open and in business, torturing any traitors or criminals of the Hyrulean Kingdom during the Civil War. For example, she could have provided potions for the Sheikah that they then used on prisoners that they tortured a little bit too much. Those who were on the brink of death, but hadn't spilled the beans just yet. Now, once again, there are no direct connections between this character and the mysterious Sheikah tribe, but it could make sense, especially because her husband does have connections with the Sheikah. He is the master craftsman seen in the village, and he actually confirms that he works with Impa directly. In-game, the following is said about him. During Link's childhood, the master craftsman is the boss of a group of carpenters who are working on building up Kakariko village on the orders of Impa, who hopes that the village will someday be a true city. So clearly he has done a lot for Impa and therefore the Sheikah. And due to him being involved in construction work, I can imagine that he's seen a lot more than he lets on. Maybe he even discovered that the bottom of the well isn't just an empty well, but that there's actually a lot more down there. This could very well be the case, but he doesn't seem to do anything with it. However, it could also very well be that Impa never mentioned any of this and kept it all a secret. But one thing is certain though, he's not loyal to the Sheikah or Kakariko village in any way, because in the adult era we can see that he and his workers left for Gerudo Valley, where they set up camp and started rebuilding the bridge that was destroyed by the Gerudo, which is a completely different story that we're not going to talk about today. But this at least shows me that he could know a lot more than anybody would have ever thought. And maybe just like him, his wife was also in service of the Sheikah back in the olden days. Now if we move on to Death Mountain, we can see that there's actually a guard there close to the gate leading up this treacherous volcano. And while you might think that he knows a lot, or could know a lot, it seems much more likely that he's left in the dark. All he does is guard the gate that goes up to Death Mountain, because it is quite dangerous up there after all. And aside from that, he knows very little, and does very little. So I would say that it's very unlikely for him to know much. However, the other guard that is stationed at Impa's house might know a lot more. He is very close to Impa after all, who is a true Sheikah and knows about all the dark secrets hidden below Kakariko village. So maybe together with her, they try to keep a lid on it all and contain the spread of darkness that is found below. Now, aside from that, another character that most likely knows nothing and just lives in the village without being aware of its history is the man on the roof. He's just kind of chilling there and says very little. The only thing he's really good for is giving Link a heart piece. But what about the Cuckoo lady? She's the daughter of the master carpenter and Granny, who might have some possible connections with the Sheikah. So what does their daughter know? Well, when I was looking into her, I actually discovered something quite interesting. Apparently, she is allergic to cuckoos, which makes her job of taking care of them a lot harder. But according to a gossip stone, the Cuckoo lady goes to the lakeside laboratory quite often to study how to breed pocket-sized cuckoos, which she actually isn't allergic to. This already clearly shows that she's following in her mother's footsteps, but as far as we know, she's not in the loop of anything, and seems to be quite oblivious to everything that's going on. Now, she could have been very useful for the Sheikah tribe due to her scientific knowledge, just like her mother. However, she is quite young, so she was most likely not alive when the Sheikah were at the height of their power, and in both the child and adult era, she doesn't seem to be involved with them whatsoever. Now let's move on to the last set of characters that could have interacted with the Sheikah. The cursed rich family who were turned into Skulltulas. Now in my opinion, there's an incredibly high chance that they have a connection to the Sheikah, because if you help them with their curse, one of the family members will reward you with the Stone of Agony. Now according to the Great Hyrule Encyclopedia, the Stone of Agony is a companion relic of the Lens of Truth, which was created by the Sheikah as far as we know. So clearly this powerful family has some connection to them, which might have even led to their curse due to messing with dark magic, accepted bribes from the Sheikah leading to their great wealth, or they did some awful things to make money. It could even be that they played a role in the dark events seen in the Shadow Temple, as well as the bottom of the well. I think out of all the characters seen in Kakariko Village, that the cursed rich family, together with Dampe, are the most likely ones to have some sort of deal or work with the Sheikah, helping them do unspeakable things. But be sure to let me know in the comments down below what you think. Do any of these characters have some sort of Sheikah connection, or no more than they let on? Aside from that, be sure to subscribe and click the like button, because it really helps out.